This is Cross Culture Podcast with Belle Tyndall and Lauren Windle,
where we talk pop culture and current affairs from a Christian perspective.
It's Cross Culture Season 2, Episode 6. Belle, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today?
Oh, a solid 8.
Oh,
We're
no,
doing
an
well.
8.
An 8.
I'm mind blown when someone ever goes more than a 6 to that question.
Really? Well, the sun is out. I had a lovely weekend.
Nice.
The only reason I'm not a 9 is I just made myself a cup of tea and my milk's gone off.
And did you take a sip of the tea and then realise?
No, it was off enough that it was flaky.
Oh.
It was visibly not the one.
Have you gone a milk-free tea then?
No, I can't do that. I honestly can't do that. That's not my portion. That's not my cross to bear. So no, it's just on my to-do list. Straight after we are done, I'm going to be pounding to the corner shop, have my first cup of tea of the day.
Perfect.
Oh, yes.
Well, I've got a can of Diet Coke waiting for me in the car because straight after this, I'm driving to Wales.
Oh,
yeah, that's
what
right.
What part of Wales?
To the motherland. Are you from anywhere near Gower and the Gower Peninsula?
Yeah, kind of. That's south. I'm just a bit further west than that.
Oh, well, I'll be driving through your hometown then. I'm going somewhere on the other side of Swansea. Just for a little Easter break. It's me, my parents, my aunt and uncle, my cousin, my sister, her husband, and their 4 kids. And 2 dogs.
A big old, have you got a big house or something?
Yeah. We got the old Airbnb. The Airbub is waiting for us.
The Airbub. Oh, I hope it stays sunny for you because that makes Swansea a bazillion times better.
Okay. The weather forecast is telling me sunny all week. So we'll if we could all just pray that stays.
Yes, Lord.
That'd be great.
Come on.
I've been doing loads of driving recently because when you preach, it's often to places that aren't near your home. So I've been driving.
Sure.
The podcast that has been getting me through, we're going to kick off with this one, is Ed Gamble and James Acaster on Off Menu, right? And
An absolute staple.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I went for it because a friend of mine just went to the live show and he bloomin' loved it. And he told me a bit about the premise. And I was kind of aware of it. But he told me about the premise and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to this. And he said that there's been a really awkward one recently with Robert De Niro. So kind of like that famous Meg Ryan Parky interview from the 90s. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember it, but I've looked at it since. Yeah.
She was so uncomfortable, made it so difficult. Basically, Robert De Niro no one had briefed Robert De Niro on the premise of the podcast. So when he got on it, for those who haven't listened, it's 2 comedians who talk you through your sort of ideal menu in a fictional restaurant. But the idea is very much that you talk about food and specific foods you like and blah, blah, blah. And
what you might have had before in certain restaurants that you enjoy, that kind of thing.
Robert De Niro was just like, whatever's good. And they're like, well, we do need a specific dish. And he's like, whatever the restaurant says is good, that's what I'll eat. And you're like, oh, okay. Your publicist should have told you just need to come up with a menu beforehand. And it's a shame no one did.
Oh, I feel like that's a next level of fame in that you get to a point of fame where you have a publicist who says, this is what you're about to go on and this is what you need to do. And then clearly he surpassed that and got to a new level of fame where publicists are like, do you know what? They'll accommodate you. I'm not going to tell you anything about what you're walking into.
And they bloomin' did as well. They ended up suggesting what he may want to order. And he agreed or didn't agree, which was they made the best of it, but it was pretty cringe.
Well done, boys.
Yeah.
Terrible. And that's right. I haven't listened to that episode. I've been on a Rest is History binge recently, but Off Menu, it's in everyone's top 3, surely. It's the Bob Mortimer episode is perhaps...
That's literally on my list. So, right, after I was talking about this Robert De Niro episode and also Stephen Graham was really good. That's a very recent one. So that's definitely worth checking out. I was talking about the keys man of the band at the church I was speaking at. And I'd done the morning service and then I was doing the evening. And I said about it, he was like, go back through the archive and listen to the Bob Mortimer episode. And I listened to it on the drive home. And it's longer than all the other episodes because it's so good. I was crying.
Yeah.
I was literal tears of laughter. It is so funny. So
it's so good.
you absolutely have to go back and listen to that one. And then after that, I asked ChatGPT to tell me which episodes everyone thinks, like the internet thinks, is funniest.
Okay, hit me.
It started with Bob Mortimer,
Naturally.
but then it said Claudia Winkleman. So I've now listened to that one as well. Both her and Bob Mortimer, but Bob Mortimer more so, is just so whimsical and ridiculous.
Pure silliness.
It's so silly. It's
think-
so silly, but in a way, like you could listen to it with your gran. There's nothing rude in it. It's just funny, and I just love it.
I'm just thinking actually of the Bob Mortimer one, and where he talks about the difference between car meat and pocket meat, and and all of these good things. And it's so nut because Ed Gamble and James Acaster, right? They are whimsy. Like James Acaster is pretending to be a genie waiter. Like they can do silly. And yet when someone comes on and out sillies them to the point where all they can do is receive it, that's when you're hitting the gold. So you're right. That's Bob Mortimer. That's Claudia Winkleman. That's also Judy Love. That's really underrated one. She out sillies them.
The Bob Mortimer one, the thing that has stuck with me and I've thought about for so much since, is that you can make the best mashed potato by soaking crisps in a small amount of water.
Until they become mashed potato. Yeah, I forgot about that bit.
Disgusting, but so funny. It was so funny.
It's so good. It's so wonderful. And he talks about the most disgusting bit because he talks about a hot dog and how he likes to swill the sauce himself. Like it's so stupid. And you're so right. You can put that on in the car, no matter who is in it, and you'll all have a good time.
Yeah. You will just be blown away by the ridiculousness. And we all need that sometimes. We just do. We
so do. So maybe not the Robert De Niro one. Is that what you're saying? Give that one a skip.
I think that one's funny if you like awkward. But if you want funny because it's actually funny, Bob Mortimer first, then Claudia Winkleman, then Stephen Graham.
Yeah.
It's my Rex.
Good call. I would agree. And I'll stick Judy Love in there as well because his is really silly. She has different characters for different courses. It's just really great.
Oh, I love that.
Do you know? Right. So the big news that I have to bring today is about the Beatles casting.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I want to bring
Can you tell me what we're casting for? This is some sort of big, like the Bob Dylan, like the Queen one. It's a big sort of biopic movie.
No, it's 4 biopic movies. It's a quadrilogy.
What, one of each of their lives?
One of each of their lives. And they will intersect in each other's lives, but every Beatles member gets their own biopic, all coming out in the same year as some kind of like film binge fest.
Isn't that going to be too much?
I don't know.
Too much Beatles.
Is there such thing?
Who's your favourite Beatle?
George Harrison.
Why?
He just writes all my favourite songs. I think he's quite humble. He's just there. He quits all the time. That's my kind of energy. He quits, so they have to talk him back around. He quits again.
I have a friend called George Harrison whose SEO is really shocking. He's an author and you just can't find him on the internet because of the George Harrison.
There's someone I know actually called Jack Nicholson who I'm sure has the same issue. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a shame.
So this is Sir Sam Mendes, right? He's directing it, and I think he must be writing them a little bit as well. So he, in the past, has done American Beauty. He's done Skyfall,
he's that guy.
1917. So he's a big old deal. So I wonder if he's the only director beloved enough that when he goes to someone and says, I want to make 4 films all about the same thing, they'll say, all right. So that's him. It's going to be a big cinematic event because apparently that's the only way you can get people to the cinemas these days is if you make it some kind of Barbenheimer, huge, colossal, like.
They scheduled it up against, some sort of massive, like Polly Pocket Goes Live movie or something.
The Sims movie, probably.
Yeah. Okay, so talk me through, who have they picked for these parts?
Yes, let me talk you through the casting. So Paul McCartney is being played by Paul Mescal.
Stop it! I love Paul Mescal, and not because of Normal People, because I know everyone will be thinking that. I love him independently. I saw him in A Streetcar Named Desire, and he absolutely ate. He was so good. I'm a bit
Yeah.
obsessed with him, I'd say.
I think he won an Olivier Award for that, didn't he?
Well deserved.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
so
great.
he is Paul McCartney. I can see that. Great.
Mhm,
John
mhm.
Lennon is played by Harris Dickinson, who's arguably the least famous, but he's in Baby Girl, which is that new cultural phenomenon of a film with Nicole Kidman. He's also a little part in With a Cruel Dad Sing, and that's all I know him from.
Not seen either. Don't care to. Oh, hang on. I've just Googled. He's in Kingsman, and I did like the Kingsman.
There you
So,
go. He's in Kingsman too. So he is playing John Lennon.
okay.
So that's a
Sure.
big old role, isn't it?
That's
Then
a
for
big
George
role.
Harrison, my favorite,
Yeah.
my Beatle, we've got Joseph Quinn, who I think you'd probably know from Stranger Things. He's Eddie in Stranger Things. So he
I never
has
watched Stranger Things. Is that bad?
he's also dating Doja Cat.
Oh, hello. There are these mad power couples of these
Yeah.
like young Gen Z people who I can't quite keep up with. Okay, so he was in Gladiator 2 again with the old
Yeah, he was with the old
with the
Paul.
mask. Okay.
Okay, and number 4, Ringo Starr
Mhm,
is
mhm.
Barry Keoghan.
Oh, now.
Come on, isn't that great?
Okay.
Can't you see that immediately?
Barry, wait, who's he dating again? He's dating someone very famous.
He's just broken up with Sabrina Carpenter.
That's who I was thinking. Have they broken up? Oh, that's a
They've broken
shame.
up. Yeah.
Okay, he's got to play a bad guy though. Look at him; he's built to play bad
He's
guys.
built to play bad guy.
This is for people who haven't automatically pictured him. He is the guy from Saltburn,
He is Saltburn.
which I cannot. If we'd been doing this podcast when Saltburn had come out, I would say, in all faith, I cannot recommend Christians. It is absolutely horrendous, but excellent acting and incredibly well stylized and very
quite clever.
Yeah, very clever. But Barry Keoghan, go on.
I think he's super talented. Although, for anyone who hasn't seen Saltburn, he does try and do a Scouse accent in that film with mixed results. So people are a little bit like, are you really going to try and be Ringo Starr? You can't not be Irish. So there'll be that. The thing is, this casting, some people love it because it's 4 of what Glamour magazine have called the internet's boyfriends. They've literally just casted the 4 most crush-worthy men on the internet right now. But other people have called it predictable and a bit of a commercial decision. Some people are angry that none of them are actually from Liverpool. So it's got mixed reviews.
Yeah, that does seem like a bit of a shame that none of them are from Liverpool, but
it does. But I am so excited.
Actually, wait, 2 of them are Irish. Are any more?
Yeah, 2 are Irish, and then
Okay.
Joseph and Harris are both British, but neither of them are from Liverpool. So we don't have the local talent in there.
Yeah, that's a shame. You know, the casting decision that has been sweeping through my old Insta.
I reckon I could hazard a guess.
Yeah, what do we think of Meryl Streep being cast as Aslan in the new Greta Gerwig Narnia adaptation? Talk to me.
Oh, I have feelings and then feelings about my own feelings.
You don't like it, but you're a bit annoyed at yourself for not liking it.
It's exactly that.
Yeah, I thought
that's
it might
exactly where I'm at.
Yeah,
I don't like it because I don't know why, and I have no right to. I don't know if it's a Christian thing or a British thing. I don't really tend to have a British thing, so maybe it's more of a Christian thing. I do feel a little bit like protective over Narnia. I do feel a little bit protective over C.S. Lewis.
Christians really do. C.S. Lewis's estate are incredibly tight-handed about his legacy and about how his stories are able to be portrayed and how, you know, even quoting one of his books. If you wanted or I wanted to quote one of his books in one of our books, that process is long and involved and needs a huge amount of sign-off from his estate. So I would be surprised. I guess as part of this, they have to sign away the right to be able to have a say on that, which is probably built in. But I don't know. I don't know. I think they're not the only ones who want to protect his legacy. I think Christians as a whole really want to protect his legacy.
Totally. And it's not even... I don't know. This is where I don't like my own feelings because Christians being in uproar is so predictable. And I wish we weren't.
Christians love a bit of uproar,
Christians
don't they?
love uproar. And it's not the first time, you know, I was thinking about In the Shack Octavia Spencer plays the goddish character, I think, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Because in the novel it's a woman, and then in the film it's Octavia Spencer. Cynthia Erivo has just been cast as Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. Like, it's okay. I don't think it's heresy or anything like that. And then where I'm annoyed with myself is Aslan is a lion. Like, why do I find it harder for Jesus to be Meryl than I do for Jesus to be a lion? Why is that where my brain wants to draw the line? What's going on with me? This isn't me.
Presumably, this casting is just her voice, right? It's
Just
not
her
going to
voice.
be.
It will be
It's
a
not like
CGI
Cats.
lion.
They're not like dressing her up like a lion. Yeah. So I guess it's still going to look like Aslan.
Yeah.
Aslan's still going to look like Aslan. So it's just an American woman's voice.
Yeah.
A woman who is not. Is she Christian? No.
I have no idea. It's just not Liam Neeson's voice coming out.
Do you think it needs to be Liam Neeson's voice?
Nah, it's just the voice I grew up with, isn't it? But again, why is that more Jesus-like than an American woman? It's probably not. So this is where I'm at with it.
I don't like the idea of it being Americans, but she might put on a British accent.
She might well do, and she does do that well, as we know from The Iron Lady. But
exactly. She's blooming Maggie Thatcher.
She's Maggie Thatcher. I think we know that Narnia has depth, like spiritual depth. It's not just an enchanted story, it's a theological story. And I just want to say on record that Greta Gerwig's one of my favourite directors. I think her Little Women is the most perfect film I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, that's too far for me, but she's fine, yeah.
But it makes me nervous in that she, has said, don't worry, I'm going to take extra care. I am in awe of this piece of work. She's spoken about being in a place of terror, but also reverence because Narnia is so genius. But then she's definitely said, like, this is going to be a very new take. It's all about rock and roll.
Oh, that's funny because I don't know if C.S. Lewis thought it was all about rock and roll.
This is the thing. But this is some other really cool casting. So Charlie XCX is apparently in talks to be the White Witch.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. And it's going to actually be the magician's nephew, not the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And so Daniel Craig is in talks to be the magician, Diggory's uncle. So some cool casting choices. And I do trust Greta. She's a great filmmaker. I think I would be quite sad if the whole world, because we've never seen the magician's nephew in a film. It's never the one people want to make. They always want to make the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
And I would be so sad if people got to watch all of the Narnias in like the most beautiful production, but none of like the spirituality was left in it. I think that would, even though I hate myself for it, make me quite sad.
Well, I think what makes it so special is that spiritual element. So it feel like a shell of the original story if that was stripped out for me, because that's what's so captivating about C.S. Lewis's writing is it has that additional level for sure.
Yeah, he's telling that story in lots of nuts ways, but
I've got a really nice Christian story about the production of this film, actually. I had Shabbat dinner, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, with a friend, a group of people on Friday night. And one of them works in production, and she's a friend of mine, and she's worked on various different films and small films and stuff. When she found out about Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, she's a Christian. She would love to be involved in it. So she contacted as many people as she could, tried to find someone who worked on it. It took about a year to finally get in touch with someone who was definitely working in production for the film. And they were like, oh, we're fully staffed, but thank you so much. And it's obviously based in Britain and creating amazing opportunities. And she's so sure that she wants to work on it that now once a week, her and another person who work in production meet specifically to pray for the film. And they pray they pray over the list of cast as it's released. They pray over the team. So it could be like, this name person is on costume, and they spend the time praying for that person.
How cool. Okay, why? What does she think this film might achieve? Does she think it's going to be like
an
evangelistic tool?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think that she sees the importance of the story. She wants to be a part of telling it. She feels a spiritual and emotional connection to the story. So
what a great thing.
Yeah. And how selfless, because she's acknowledging she may never get a place on it, but she's still that committed to it being a success in a spiritual sense that she will give up that time to commit to it.
That's so good. Prayer-fueled art.
Yeah. She's a great person.
Great person. Shout out to you. If it does well, we know who to thank.
Oh, massively. God first. And then after that, my mate.
Yeah, your mate. Then after that, maybe Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, possibly. I feel like lots of other people will be thanking her though. So, whatever. I have been reading. Hey, do you know what? Talking of Christian things coming into the mainstream, it's hard for me to really judge the extent to which that's happening. There's a fashion blog, and my friend sent me a fashion blog and fashion influencers. And my friend sent me a clip of them talking, and they were talking about Christian fashion brands that are really blowing up at the moment. And it's a completely mainstream fashion blog. And I was like, that's really cool.
Really
And then
cool.
things like The Chosen, King
Yeah, of
David.
course.
Is it called King of Kings or King David? But that's number one at the moment
I think
on.
both of those things are a thing, aren't they?
Right. Okay,
There you
fine.
go, both.
There's lots coming out, particularly from The Chosen production team
Angel
around
Studios.
around sort of biblical content and things. So we can see these sort of overlaps. Also, last year, John Mark Comer's Practicing the Way was a New York Times bestseller for 9 weeks. And that is for Christian books, as somebody who works in Christian publishing, that is so unusual. And this year it's been back in the bestseller list again. So it's they fluctuate, they come up and down. But I guess in January, people were thinking about spiritual practices again and what their year was going to look like. So it boosted up again. Richard Rohr, Tears of Things, that is ranking New York Times bestseller and has done for the last few weeks. And mind-blowing to me, and I'm annoyed at myself for not trying to buy UK rights to this book when I found out it was happening. Beth Allison Barr's Becoming the Pastor's Wife, How Marriage Replaced Ordination as a Woman's Path to Ministry. That has ranked in the New York Times bestseller list. And that's, to be honest, when it comes to people buying books in the States, Christian books in the States, I would have thought that the audience was there for conservative Christian books. Whereas this is not that. This is not a conservative. It's not sort of Southern Baptist. It speaks quite strongly against Southern Baptist traditions, and it's ranking.
And it's quite, I've spoken to friends about this, and maybe it's not the case so much in America, or maybe it's more the case, but books that are by women and about women don't tend to be read by men.
Yeah.
So that's interesting too.
Yeah. Whoever it is, whether it is the more egalitarian leaning Christians, the female Christian, whatever it is, people are buying this book, and I am one of them, and I've read it. And
go on. I've read her Making of Biblical Womanhood.
Yeah, me
which
too.
I think was her first one, or definitely her one before this.
Notes on Feminism was heavily influenced by that book. I thought it was really powerful.
Good book.
So yeah, Beth Allison Barr is she's got a PhD. She's a lecturer, a teacher of theology in the States. She's also married to a pastor, and she talks a lot about her experiences. It's the anecdotes and the sort of things that have happened, the way people have spoken to her that I find most infuriating when I read through it, because I think that there's space for the research and for the deep dive and the theology and all of that kind of stuff. But it's when someone's tangibly treated someone badly that it really stays with me. So, for example, like a church had a family pastor who was paid full-time position, and one of the women emailed her and said, "Oh, I'm not sure about childcare for this, blah, 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 something to do with a baby or something." And she's not an employed member of that church. She's married to its leader, and therefore volunteers and supports his job and everything. But she's not a paid up member of staff. So she just CC'd in the family pastor and said, "Hey, this is something he can help with." And he replied and said, "This is your job." And that's it. Like, you're a mum, therefore you're the person who handles the babies. I'm not doing this. And you're just like, there's so many of those stories where you're like, this is a woman who is so, she's so well educated. She's so taken the time to learn this stuff, to deep dive into these things. And you're just relegating her to kids ministry. And it is just absolutely so frustrating. Basically, she talks about the evolution of women leading in the church, because early doors, we know women led in the church because Paul talks about it, right?
Yeah.
Then we know that there was medieval church leaders who were female and preachers who were female and things like that. And then it kind of dips off and we get to a place where we're not really sure what's going on and if women can lead and blah. Well, for a long time, it was that they definitely couldn't. And now we're coming around to the idea that they can, and that's changing. So she looks at that and what sparked, what theological and political and societal things sort of sparked those decisions. And she talks about how when women could not lead, full stop, no one was letting women lead in the church, to marry a pastor was a little bit of a shock. It was a way to be in leadership. You were suddenly provided your husband was backing you, provided your husband was next to you, provided your husband was the main guy who you were answering to, you were finally able to teach. But actually, that is not. And she looks at, it's fascinating, she looks at the history of ordination. She looks at how ordination and what qualifies as ordination has changed over time. It's a really interesting read. It's not a beach read. It's not a Christian lifestyle. It's not packed full of those interesting or annoying stories. They're littered throughout, but it is ultimately a piece of research from an academic. So I think
that's her thing, right? She's a historian, over and above being a theologian. So she'll take you on an academic research journey.
I would say if anyone isn't sure about women in leadership and it's very easy to find the contrary, pick up a John Piper book and you'll find out all you need to know about why women shouldn't preach. If someone wants to hear an incredibly well-articulated, well-researched perspective to the contrary, I think this is the book for them.
Oh, she is
super powerful.
Super powerful. And I remember the making of Biblical Womanhood. I didn't write a book like you did as an ode to it, but you're right. It changed a lot of the way I thought about a lot. So her in general, she's very meticulous. She's very thoughtful. It's quite easy to read a book by a woman on this subject and it'd be quite angry. And she's not. She's very level with it. Yeah. I will put it on my list, Lauren.
Yeah. Do you know what I think shouldn't go on your list?
Oh, go on.
Chris has just flagged this one up, producer Chris. Celeb Big Brother 2025 launched on Monday. And I'm telling you, I have been a Big Brother queen fan for years and years. I remember the first series in 2000. I watched all 10 series that came out on Channel 4. Then I picked it up again when the Celebrity Big Brother series got good again on Channel 5 with Lee Ryan's love triangle, all of that kind of jazz.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, this is a concept that now needs to die. And we shouldn't be it's just not relevant anymore. It was groundbreaking to get that level of insight into people's lives back in the day because we didn't have it. But these days, literally everyone's social media is kind of like Big Brother. I was watching Stacey Solomon's Get Ready With Me, and it's exactly what you'd see on Big Brother. And she's a bit more real than other people. She's I filmed myself running, but I ran really fast just because I knew I was being filmed and then I wanted to throw up afterwards. She'll
that was really good.
Thanks. She'll probably she's genuine within it, right? But yeah, the experience of seeing everyone day to day outside of a polished reality and knowing them and their highs and their lows is not novel to us anymore. And quite frankly, it's boring.
Yeah, I've never. Oh, do you know what? Last week how I gave you a list of things I've never done?
You must have seen one episode, maybe not a whole series. You've never walked in a room and it's been on the telly.
No, the only thing I've ever seen is those little iconic clips. So when David Bowie died and they thought David Best had died.
David's dead.
David's dead. So the classic David's dead. There's also that fight between Tiffany and Gemma about his shoes.
Gemma Collins?
Yeah, Gemma Collins and Tiffany.
The line I remember from Gemma Collins is, "I'm claustrophobic, Darren!"
Yeah, there was that. So I know the things that have
What about the non-celebrity ones, no naked jacuzzi? Do you know what that is?
No.
Or who is she? Who is she?
Oh, yeah, I do know that.
Nikki Graham.
I do know that, actually. But I only know the things that have leaked out of the the universe just into general culture. Okay, that's my lot with that. So if you're telling me not to watch it, that's something I'm very happy to oblige with.
Well, just keep doing what you're doing.
Just keep thriving.
Yeah. The only other thing, right? So we talk a lot about general trends in the general world.
Yes,
and the fact that Christian books are coming up in the general trends and blah, blah, blah. I've noticed a specific Christian trend that I want to see if you
among the Christians?
Just the Christian folk.
Okay.
I've noticed something. I mean, there's lots of Christian trends, right? Spiritual formation's a big Christian trend at the moment.
Yeah.
Because of
filming people's outfits for church is quite the thing now.
Yeah, that does seem to be a thing. That's just kind of normalizing church, though, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
just old people like, yeah, we wear wide leg jeans. And what are those trainers everyone wears with a V on them? They're like environmentally friendly ones or something. Everyone's got them.
No idea.
They're like quite expensive.
I'm an Adidas Gazelles girl. If it's not a Gazelle, I don't know what it is.
I just honestly couldn't care less about trainers. Trainers and cars. When people
Not your
like
thing.
say what kind of trainer or there, Chris.
Vega.
Yeah.
Ve
How do you put I'm gonna
Veja.
Veha.
Veja. There you go. Everyone get your Vejas on.
Yeah. Oh no, it's Ve. No, Veja.
Veja.
I have no Veja.
Vejas.
It's just so annoying. Okay, fine. Let's just say that we've nailed that. Everyone's got those. All
You're
Christians have
welcome.
got those. All Christians have twinned their toilet with a toilet somewhere else.
They have.
All Christians know how to play spike ball. All Christians have got one of those yak one suit things. I don't have any of this stuff.
The Lucian yak dungaree.
That's it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I just went for yak. Right. So here's my Christian trend. I think that we are seeing a resurgence, and this I think is probably tied into the spiritual practice resurgence of events which stem from the Jewish tradition, which does mean that they're relevant for Christianity as well, because obviously we share an Old Testament, we share our traditions, but they've pretty much died out in Christian circles. So things like a Passover meal, some churches have always done them. I know a church that did one every year, but on the whole, that's sort of fallen more on to our sort of Jewish counterparts rather than to the Christians. I have seen so many people hosting Shabbat dinner.
Which is?
Right. So now I hope I'm not going to get this wrong, but my understanding of Shabbat dinner is that it's a beautiful sort of ceremonial dinner that you would have prayerfully before you start your Sabbath. So it's like it marks the beginning of your Sabbath. So it's like tools down, laptop closed. We're going to share this meal together, and then we're in a time of peace and reflection. And I went to one on Friday, and as part of that, you know, we chatted and there were sort of conversation points and stuff like that, like at a sort of mildly scripted Christian dinner party.
Okay, so it had a very intentional vibe about it.
Yes, and there were like printouts with specific prayers to sort of start you off on your Sabbath and stuff like that. So they were almost like liturgy. They were like the main person leading said something and then we all said something back. And it was like really beautiful. And you light candles and there was the sort of breaking of the bread. And there was wine that so you pour the wine cup till it's overflowing. And then you each take a sip of the wine. It was actually
very psalmy.
Yeah, it was. What was it? It was iced tea because I don't drink alcohol. And I don't know if it's always at their house non-alcoholic, but the whole dinner was non-alcoholic. And if that was to benefit me, I didn't ask, but that is super kind if it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was it. So they poured it out in the middle and it went round. And then there's a moment where you say something you're grateful for. I don't know how much of this they've injected into the way they want to do Shabbat dinner and how much sort of a Jewish household would do it that way as well. But it was really beautiful.
It sounds it. So they do that every week?
For 6 weeks, because they found that they weren't committing properly to Sabbath. They wanted something, or partly accountability, but also they're a couple that are very hosty and very hospitable, really open house. So I think it kind of just ties into all of the things that they enjoy.
Interesting.
There's this sort of craving for tradition. What do you think?
Yes. This is what I was thinking, is there's this craving. It's probably why lots of people are becoming Eastern Orthodox again, or why like the very high church, like the Anglo-Catholic churches seem to be like flooded. It's like people are hungry for ritual, like embodied ritual in their lives that force community, that force gratitude, that force like reflection. Like so many more people are just like praying Compline. Or, you know, I was in Oxford for a conference and I had this coffee with this amazing girl, and she was like, it's so much easier for me to get friends to go to Evensong in Keble College than it was for her to invite them to church on a Sunday morning, because she goes to just quite like a regular charismatic church.
I find that with carol services. My church used to do an alternative carol service and then the sort of traditional one. And I invited all my friends to the alternative carol service. So I was like, this is cool. There's like There's like different performances, there's opportunities to get involved, there's dance, blah, blah, blah. And I remember them just being like, no, we want to go to the one with the hymn sheet and the they were like, we want it to feel like the sort of the 7 readings and 7 carols.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They wanted the most traditional version.
Yeah. It's kind of 2 things, isn't it? Like you want this embodied ritual, you want to infuse your life with this stuff, but also there's an element maybe of us wanting to feel connected to the fact that we are partaking in a tradition that is centuries upon centuries upon centuries, years old. And maybe it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure, bring it on. I'll take Shabbat.
Well, I hope you do. I think
Jewish people know how to party. They're fasting or feasting all the time.
Yeah, and Jewish food is amazing.
It's really great.
It's really good. Really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, get out there, guys. Get ahead of that trend.
Get Shabbating.
Shabbat. Shabbat left, right, and centre before this weekend. That's my suggestion.
Oh, do enjoy it. We'll be back with a feast for the ears.
Oh, stop it.
That was pretty good, wasn't it?
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Oh, isn't it just? Yeah, we will be back with yet another feast for the ears next week. But until then, have the best week.
Bye, guys.